Day 449 of the worldwide Megacrisis. To save your beautiful soul. I have tonsillitis. Can you believe that? It's day 7.5, no food. And I was feeling like it was already 3 weeks into the hunger strike, and now I know why. I could barely move my tongue. Ah. I had a visiting from my family a week and a half ago. And AI thinks that's the perfect germination time for an infection like this. So I was sleeping 3 times a day. So that makes sense. As if I wasn't already in enough pain. So the good news is it should heal. The bad news is it takes a lot of vitamin C and energy to fight off an infection like this. So it looks like it's cut off somewhere between 4 days to a week of survival, which is not good since I'm already not recovered from the 65-day hunger strike. So what this means is get your butt in gear. I have a really cool way to make new blessings, another way. And it has to do with learning these words of wisdom and this universal logic. And I'm frantically finishing this code because I only have 4 days left that somebody donated to code with this advanced AI. After this, I have to try and use free ones, but they're not good enough to handle this level of code. Okay, I'm exhausted. It's hard. This is a tough stretch, but people are becoming more receptive. Professional strategists, other resort holders, MBAs in finance. There's hope that people will wake up in time. But I want to address something that I mentioned in my last recording. And I don't have a lot of space on my phone and my throat hurts. It's not my throat, it's my tongue actually. I'm lucky I didn't get tonsillitis of the neck down here. I only got it stopped at my tongue. I'm lucky, I guess. But look, if you look me up and you say, is it safe to approach Mark McCormick? It destroyed me online. Like if you go to Google and you type it in, this is what you're going to see. Should I engage him? Is it safe? That's me. Wait, who is Mark McCormick? So it says, engaging with Mark McCormick is generally physically safe, but comes with a high likelihood of interpersonal conflict and legal risk. While he is not known to be physically violent, his public track record indicates that engaging with him can quickly become volatile, exhaustive, or legally complicated. Risks. So it cites my big battle with the University of Alberta, history of misconduct allegations. The University of Alberta Dean of Students officially flagged him for alleged misconduct against community members during his campus protests. Do you know what I want to say my side of the story. Do you know what that's about? I did hunger strikes in the middle of quad and got permission from my department chair to put up posters in my philosophy building publicly. And one professor, and I emailed 5,000 professors, and when they said, we don't want to be a part of these emails, I let them off. But there was only one professor that actually complained. And he filed a complaint against me, even though he said, I don't want to be a part of these emails. I'm like, that's fine. These are public emails. It's not like I went and looked up their private emails. If you go to the University of Alberta and you type in a professor's name or somebody's name at the U of A and they're a staff member, it's public. So, and I was a University of Alberta student. And so I looked up the policies, they're called UPOL policies, UPPOL, the university's policies and procedures. And I looked up the Google agreement form when you use your email account at the U of A. They give you a special email, but it's a Google email. So I looked up the Google's emails for what's considered spam, what's considered harassment, what's considered improper ethics, what's considered threatening or volatile. There's like 12 things that they have listed, and I went through every single one of them, and none of them list digital protests as against their policies. So protected under my charter rights, I thought I'm going to go on hunger strikes in the middle of quad, and I'm going to explain them to all the professors. So I blasted out 500 emails, I think, to all these public people in departments I thought would care, like the Department of Philosophy, my department, the Department of Political Science, who should care about the World War III starting, the Department of Biology, which cares about CRISPR genetic editing and those patents that are patenting our literal genetic code, the cures to it. And none of them actually complained to me. It was actually kind of incredible. I thought I was going to get a huge bunch of complaints, but only, I think, 3 people actually responded to me, and I removed them from the list entirely. And one of those guys I removed him and didn't talk to him or send him an email for a year and a half, 18 months, I think it was. This guy started seeking me out on campus, it looks like, and whenever he heard my voice in the building, he would come and try and disrupt and plant seeds to discredit me, which is harassment. And he filed a complaint saying I was doing that to him. Absolutely not. He says I was waiting for him outside the washrooms. I was waiting. His office is right across the office from the professor that I was taking artificial intelligence philosophy courses, ethics courses with. So my professor had a bunch of people come to his office, and he said I had to wait for 40 minutes to get into his office. So I was waiting in the public lounge. And this other guy, I won't say his name until my complaint goes through, I filed harassment against him. I filed a harassment claim against him for harassing me about harassment, false harassment, my charter rights. I asked permission for everything that I did and looked up all the policies and procedures before I did anything. I never crossed a legal line, because if you study history, that's what the state, the hegemon, does to marginalize you. So I don't have any criminal records in 20 years of peaceful protests. So I'm extremely cautious. But we have to push the line for real, you guys, because our lives are in danger. I'm saving your life from the mega crisis. So they filed this big investigation to get me off the campus because I was starting a movement and it was working. We had hundreds of students stopping to talk to me. We had around 37, 40 students saying they wanted to be on my listserv to start a student group. So the university started panicking because they couldn't get rid of me because I was peaceful. And they knew me. I had been on campus for 10, 15 years doing peaceful protests and had no incidents at all. I had the university president out. All these things happened. So they couldn't come in and blast me with tear gas and all these things they did to these other protesters that tried to copy me. Okay, so this is the university being very devious and destroying my reputation, exactly like how Google's picking up. And this is exactly how the good people get crushed by ignorance. Okay? So now you know my side of the story. I was waiting outside the office of my professor, who I paid money to go and see, and this other guy came and made up a story that I was waiting for him outside the bathrooms. Bizarre and twisted. I walked past him once. I have to walk across Quad to go from my house to the philosophy building, to go to the office hours. I had to pass this guy once. And he filed that I was stalking him. I thought, does this guy have paranoia? He had a legal degree before he came to Canada. And now he's a philosophy professor harassing me for my charter protected rights. It's extreme. They're going to extreme lengths to try and get rid of me. And I used AI to file a massive complaint of every email of how I've been blocked in every single way systematically. So I need your help to overturn this. It's literally illegal. Okay, so that's the first thing it says. What's the second thing it says? Harassment and legal restrictions. The Court of King's Bench of Alberta officially restricted his communications because he harassed court staff and bypassed legal procedures in his lawsuits. Do you know what happened there? I recognized that the judge on my first case was being unfair. In fact, he could be corrupt. So I submitted a voice recording when I was in hospital when they were detaining me and starting to inject me illegally. I recorded some bad faith actions from one of these nurses. I like nurses, by the way. It's just that this nurse in particular was not good to me. And I submitted that as evidence to this judge. And he came back and he said, oh, there's nothing wrong with this. Government employees, which these nurses were when you're in a public hospital, right? They're immune from any lawsuits unless they do any personal bad faith misconduct. This voice recording showed personal misconduct. So he said, oh, this recording doesn't do anything. And I said, did you listen to the recording? It's virtually impossible for anyone to listen to that and deem it as good faith towards me. And what I found out was that judge needs to cite particulars, they're called particulars or details, of what his judgment is about regarding the material. So you can defend yourself. That's what court's about. It's about reason. And he just said, nope, it's no good. And I was like, well, what in the recording did you go off of to make the decision? Like, what's the particulars? They didn't cite anything. Hand waved me off and tried to close the case immediately. And I said, Your Honor, recuse yourself. I'd like you to recuse yourself. And luckily I was semi-educated. Even though this was early in the case, it had been a couple of months and I noticed that he was putting downward pressure on me. They manipulate the crap out of the public. And AI was just coming in, I think, at this point, or I think it came a little after. I can't remember when it happened, but I was starting to learn my rights. So I went to the King's Bench courthouse clerks, like the counter clerks, where they help the public. And I said, hey, I'm concerned about this judge. I think he's being unfair. Is there another way to get another judge or talk to somebody about this judge? And I didn't know about judge shopping by this point, but the courthouse staff liked me. There's like a test period where they test you. They like baloney, like they throw stuff at you, and if you freak out emotionally, then they use that as a reason to say you're irate, and then they crush you even more. But if you're good to the staff, they can be good to you. And so these staff members liked me, and they gave me the email address to something called the masters of the whole courthouse. And they said, this is the only person that you can talk to. I didn't know that this was a judge. A masters is a weird name for a judge, but it's called the administrative justice now. They're actually changing the names because masters was the old name when slavery was legal. So these judges were called masters, like slave masters. And so, well, it's associated with that, has the weird connotation. So I was talking to the administrative justice of the whole courthouse, who was an actual judge. And I thought this was just a normal staff member. So I messaged them and said, hey, I'm worried about this judge. I think he's being unfair. The counter clerk said to talk to you. Is there anything we can do? And they got back to me in a snarky tone and said, blah, 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 I can't do anything. Go through the normal procedures. And I responded to them calmly. I said, the courthouse counter clerks told me you're my only option left. And then they came back even more abrasive. Go back to the counter clerks. And I said, there's a contradiction here. The counter clerks are passing me to you, and you're passing me back to them. And they're just going to pass me back to you. So I pointed it out in my message, and then they filed a vexatious communication order against me. And for tagging media in my emails to the courthouse staff that were ignoring my messages, which is a charter protected right, Section 2B. And I filed that to the Supreme Court of Canada and to the Associate Chief Justice. So that's what they came down on me on. And they're passing me around the courthouse. The counter clerks were okay, but the upper staff were really bad. It's really bad for the public. And they intentionally crush you because if you can do good in the courthouse by yourself as a self-representing litigant, then it threatens their jobs. Because why do you need lawyers if you can do it all yourself and win? So there's an actual incentive built into the courthouse, a historical incentive to make self-representing litigants look bad and make them look this way, when that's not the case at all. And I filed an ethnographic study to track my progress through the courthouse system. And luckily I did that because I showed 120 errors of the staff towards my court case. On top of how hard it is to read, they expect you to know or read 120,000 words. I tracked it. I actually looked at the documents, and then I got a number counter. I pasted it all. It took a while. And then there's 120 mistakes that they make. One of those can derail your entire case. One. So that's what you're feeling in the courthouse. That's what you're dealing with. And then if you speak up against it and say, hey, this isn't fair, they trash you. They trash your reputation. And one of the 7 elite law firms the government hired against me picked this up and then published it on their very popular website because they're a very powerful firm. So now you can find it on Google. But now you've heard my side of the story, is that I was completely mistreated. One of the mistakes that the courthouse made, they said, oh, you have to pay this fee. You can't get a court waiver. I was low income, right? So I got a court waiver, fee waiver. And they said, it doesn't cover it. And I was like, what? I have to pay this fee now. So I went and sold my car in one day and paid the fee. And then another person said, oh, no, that your fee waiver applies. So I sold my car for nothing. That's just one of 120. So there's no complaint lines. Like, the courthouse is supposed to be all about justice and accountability. There's no accountability in the courthouse. If you file a complaint, they don't get back to you. There's no ticket numbers. There's no accountability at all. And if you do that, then they blame you for being a vexatious litigant and stirring up trouble in the courthouse. It's atrocious. It is an antiquated, old-fashioned way of doing justice, and their online systems are terrible. They don't even render properly on your phone. So the public, 70% of people who go to courthouses are the public that can't afford lawyers, and they get destroyed like this in the courthouse, and they know it. Now that I'm experienced after 3 years, I see new people come in and they do the same thing. I actually sit in the benches watching other self-reps go through to see how the judges treat them, and it's the same. And the lawyers are in cahoots with it. And I can predict it now too, because I've seen it happen to me and I've seen it happen to others. It's the same thing. It's a money game. It's like they see you come in, they know all the weak spots that they never fix. They say, oh, it's a fair playing field. It's not fair at all. It's only fair between lawyers, not the public. And they just run through 70% of people, and it destroys public trust in the legal system. And then nobody believes in justice. Oh, my hand's falling asleep. AI estimates it's roughly $3 billion worth of damage, $1 to $3 billion of damage every year just in my city of public trust damages. Holy, I am feeling it. I'm passionate, but I'm about to run out of space. So I wanted to address that. Thank you for believing in me so far. Oh, by the way, if you go look up my name now, it's nicer to me. It says something nicer. It says, yes, it is generally considered safe to approach Mark McCormick. He is not known to be violent. He's known to be conversational and highly receptive to students and peers who want to discuss philosophy. However, there are a couple of caveats. And he says, calm but intense demeanor, extreme physical weakness, treat him nicely, and he just has unconventional beliefs. They do mention the student misconducts, but they mention it in a nice way. And they don't mention anything about the court cases. So that's a little bit more respectful. But it doesn't say the truth at all. The truth is, I'm trying to save your life. And we're in a toxic society that does this to honorable people. So we are in a backwards world. And when I win the student misconduct case against the U of A, if they're not totally corrupt, then that will vindicate me and my reputation more. Because I care about people, and I'm just fighting something that is dark and twisted. All right, and I'd like your help to address it. Okay, stay blessed, you guys. I'm holding on for you. There's a lot happening in the world, but this video is already too long. So thank you for helping. Thank you, God alone, for giving like 150,000 hearts, and for everybody on my YouTube and the social media and doing the blessings. Okay. Talk to you soon. Talk to you tomorrow, hopefully. I'm going to try and make these videos each day. Oh, by the way, the wifey slogan, if she's too hardcore for everybody else, what's it? She's just right for me. Okay. Peace.